Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your NXT Takeover Brooklyn 4 preview and predictions. We have 5 matches to predict as per usual on takeovers, but not only are we going to be talking about these 5 matches, which to go over the card, we've got Velveteen Dream versus EC3, Adam Cole defending the North American Championship against Ricochet, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong defending the NXT tag titles against Moustache Mountain, Shayna Baszler defending the NXT Women's Championship against Kairi Sane, and the bald-headed bastard himself, Tommaso Ciampa, defending the NXT Championship against Johnny Gargano in a last man standing match. But we will also give our thoughts and our opinions on who we think is the one that attacked Aleister Black. It is all going to be happening here, folks, so be sure to take a deep seat, get your snacks ready if you don't already, because this is going to be a little bit of a marathon. John, how you feeling, brother?
Brother, I'm feeling fantastic. I mean, it's another takeover. It's another time to remind yourself why you love wrestling. Being truthful, there's only one match on this card that I really don't care for. In fact, there's a match happening on the NXT after takeover that I feel should have been swapped with this, that being Pete Dunne versus Zach Gibson.
And I agree with you on that. I think that this should have been a card with 5 championships being defended. All 5 championships that are relevant to NXT could have been defended on this show if they would have swapped the one match on the show that doesn't have a title up on it for that match, the Dunne versus Gibson match.
Yeah, but we'll get to that match later. As far as my hype level goes, I am a solid 9 out of 10 for this show. Again, I have to talk a little bit for the one match I'm not really looking forward to, but still, this card is stacked. I have a few reservations beyond that, admittedly, but again, we're all going to unpack it here today. We had to really keep quiet in our NXT Go Home episode kind of review, but it's all going to be laid out here. So, Ashton, I'm ready to dive into this when you are.
Yeah, you're at a 9. I'm probably maybe even a little bit higher than that. I'll go 9.5 because I think I'm excited for everything you're excited for, but then I'm also, I think, a little bit more excited for the non-title match that we're getting on this show than you are. And speaking of said non-title match, let's actually start with that because that is the least important match on this show, which is also means that it's going to be the match that we talk first about. Velveteen Dream versus EC3. Now, I'm just going to come out and say it, guys. I know that this match is not going to be like the show stealer kind of match, but I think EC3 is going to win some people over here. I think EC3 is going to outperform Velveteen Dream once that bell rings. Dream's entrance is going to steal the show as it always does, but I think once that bell rings, EC3 is going to be the real show stealer here. I'm expecting EC3 to actually have to carry Velveteen Dream in this match, and I think that they are going to end up having a good but not great match. And I actually do expect that EC3 will win because I think that's kind of the role that Velveteen Dream has been relegated to, is kind of the gatekeeper in a way, where Tyler Breeze was for a long time, where you could say Ishii is in New Japan right now. He's kind of that guy where he is the gatekeeper to the main event scene. And once you beat him, then you get your title shot. So I think EC3 might be moving towards the front of the line. I won't say to the front of the line, but towards the front of the line for NXT Championship contention. How about you, John?
We could pretty much copy and paste like a third of what you've said here for me. Because,
okay, well, you're definitely going to have to specify which.
Well, I was going to. Because I do agree that I think it'll be a solid matchup. Really, the problem I have with it has nothing to do with the guys involved. It's more on me because I'm not really into EC3, as you know, but he has been trying. Like, I do appreciate that this feud has been a bit campier, I think, than Velveteen Dream's other feuds. And that's kind of saying something given like the dynamics and everything. But yeah, I mean, I do like, that he went to Velveteen Dream's experience and, they had that sit down and then seconds later, it's like, oh, let's go for a walk. Yes, let's. And, they're just two very kind of eccentric personalities, very quirky in their own way. And, that's been fine enough. It's just, like when you've had the kind of narrative builds that he's had with like Ricochet and Black, you have a certain expectation. I don't think this feud really quite met that bar for me. But again, that's a me problem, not an EC3 or Velveteen Dream problem. And, you know, compartmentalizing that, I do think it's going to be a solid bout. I think this is an important bout for EC3, you know, to really solidify his overness, you know, getting the job done. But where you and I sharply diverge is I'm actually going with Velveteen Dream to win this. I think that exchange on the Go Home NXT where he laid Velveteen Dream out with the 1%, not to mention he got the upper hand on him in the Velveteen Dream experience by dunking him in the pool and just everything. Like, I feel like Velveteen Dream needs something back. And I think he's going to get that in the form of victory over EC3 at this takeover. So I'm actually going with Velveteen Dream here. Dream over.
I see. I knew we were going to do some disagreeing over these two preview predictions. I think we're going to do more disagreeing tomorrow than we will today. But it's kind of interesting that we're already starting off with a disagreement. I think EC3 is going to go over. You think Velveteen Dream is going to pick up the win. Honestly, I hope you're right. I really do hope you're right because I'm more of a fan of Velveteen Dream than I am of EC3. But EC3 has been kind of winning me over lately. You know, he's been doing some good stuff on the mic. He's been, you know, he had the one good match. I don't even remember who it was against. I think it might have even been against Kona Reeves. Now that I think about it, yeah, that was what it was. That was actually, I think that EC3's performance against Kona Reeves was what kind of started winning me over. And the segment that we had just yet last night was really kind of eye-opening for me as far as how over EC3 is for the NXT fans. So I'm really, honestly, the thing that I'm really curious about too is how the Brooklyn crowd is going to react to both of these guys. Because I feel like the takeover crowds tend to react more positively towards Dream than just about any other like television crowds do. But I'm curious if EC3's overness from television will also carry over to the Brooklyn crowd.
I see the crowd being very divided for this bout. If not, if I'm being truthful, I could see them being divided, if not partial, even if just a bit, for EC3. That's going to be my prediction. I don't know. He's kind of the new phenomenon. I will say I think he's kind of the new Bobby Roode in a way, but maybe he has a bit more going for him than Roode did, to be fair. Regardless, I do see Dream winning. I had an original idea for where Dream could go from here, but I really don't know if that's still valid given how the crowd's kind of turning on him a little bit in favor of acts like EC3. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and see, I was kind of even thinking, like, because of now we've seen what babyface Bobby Roode looks like, and it's a complete and utter disaster. And the fact that EC3 has actually been able to pull off being kind of a charismatic, almost. Now, before I even say this, I want to preface it by saying I'm not saying that he is this person or he is as good as this person. I'm just saying that the way that he talks trash is similar to The Rock. The way that cut people down and make fun of their appearances, and, you know, like the way he like went after Kona Reeves for having like fake diamonds and shit and all that stuff. Like, yeah, and he even like with the Velveteen Dream, like point out the fanny pack. Like that was a very Rock thing to do. I imagine The Rock would have done that, even though The Rock used to wear fanny packs, and there is photo evidence of that. But yeah, I think that EC3 kind of has that superstar appeal right now, and I think that's why he's so over. He had that crowd last night in the palm of his hands. It might have been just a one-time thing, but no matter what happens, I think that I do expect EC3 to win, and I also expect EC3 to become maybe even the #1 contender for the NXT Championship. We will see how that goes. But that's going to be it for that discussion. Let's move on to our next match. The second match of the evening, and also the first of 4 championship matches today. Adam Cole, baby, defending his United States Championship against Ricochet. And I gotta tell you, man, before I even get into my prediction, I want you to tell me yours. But before we get into any predictions, I just want to say, I feel like this has been the least hyped match that we're going into this show with. But I think it might end up being like the match that like people might be sleeping on that will steal the show. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to this. I mean, here's the thing. You've got Adam Cole, baby.
Oh, you know what? Did I say United States Championship? I think I might have. I meant North American, obviously. But yeah, go ahead.
But anyway, yeah, you've got Adam Cole, who's the North American champion. And I mean, we've spoken about Adam's talent extensively on the podcast. I think it really is a situation where that championship needed him. He didn't need that championship because anybody can say what they want. I've seen some fans very critical of Adam Cole. I've also seen people like head over heels in love with Adam Cole. I won't say he's a polarizing figure. I think the love far outweighs the hate, but you get the idea. I personally look at him, and I even said this, I think, on our NXT review last night, listening to the video package and Adam Cole talking about how good he is. You could swap out the North American Championship with the WWE Championship, and it wouldn't be a bit out of place to me. Like, I'm telling you, when this man gets called up, if he does not win a world title in the first calendar year that he is there, especially if he's got the Undisputed Era behind him, you are doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong, and you should feel bad. This guy is just that talented. So I think as a heel and just as a charismatic performer, he's more than ready to like pull his load in this. And Ricochet, because he's still in NXT where he can be Ricochet and he can be that guy, I think he'll just astound with some breathtaking offense, have a little bit of charisma worked into some of the moves. Should be a great matchup. Again, like you said, the build is very lightweight, which is why I really haven't talked much about that. I did like the sneak attack by Undisputed Era. I loved really how this whole thing got set up, because Ricochet, was in that six-man tag against Cole, O'Reilly, and Strong. He hits the 630 on Cole, and then O'Reilly, pulls the ref out, and he makes that legendary face that's like, oh, what did I do? Because of just pure exhaustion. And, yeah, he's like, oh, I would have had Adam Cole beaten, so he's really been chasing Cole. Here's where I'm conflicted. I don't know if Cole retains the championship here or not, because they've made a stink about, like, oh, he never defends the title. Of course, he's probably defended it with great regularity at live events. But as far as the product, we've seen very few defenses. And Ricochet is like, oh, I want to defend it more than he ever has, and this and that. So I don't know if it's going to be a changing of the guard, and we get Cole either up to the main roster or maybe just in another feud. So I'm really torn about this. So I think I'm going to go in a weird direction again, and I'm actually going to say your new North American champion, Ricochet. I think I'm going to go with championship.
Now, this is one that we do agree on, because I also expect Ricochet to win this match and win the North American Championship. And I'll also add, this might end up being Ricochet's kind of breakout singles performance, because we have already, really the two big matches that we've seen Ricochet in were the ladder match, where really everybody kind of got a chance to shine, and then the Velveteen Dream match, where, again, I've already kind of come out and said, I feel like that match was slowed down and Ricochet wasn't really able to be Ricochet in that match. I really do think, though, that this is going to be that match where Ricochet, we finally see, the Ricochet that we knew in, PWG and as Prince Puma and Lucha Underground and in New Japan and that kind of stuff. I don't think he'll go that crazy with the flippy stuff like he does in New Japan and BOSJ, with Will Ospreay and stuff. But I do think this is going to be him really kind of getting to show off more than he had prior.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with you there. I would agree with you on that.
So, yeah, man. So we're both predicting Ricochet to win. And the big reason I think Ricochet is going to win is because I'm fully expecting Adam Cole, rather than being able to defend his North American Championship, I'm expecting him to be in the War Games match at TakeOver War Games, because I think it's going to be Undisputed Era, British Strong Style, all three of those guys, and then a trio, probably 2/3 of which would be comprised of War Raiders. I'm not sure who their partner would be.
Right. Maybe it would be Ricochet, just to kind of continue that beef. And
if it would be Ricochet, then I would still feel like he would need to win the North American title just for the beef between him and Adam Cole to have to continue. Because if Adam Cole just retains here, Ricochet doesn't really have any sort of say. He doesn't have any claim to, have any real reason to continue feuding with Adam Cole. So I really do feel like, even if you want to go that route, it's either A, he is a part of that match and it's because his beef with Adam Cole has continued, or the other option is that he is going to be defending the North American title then on that card in a singles match. So either way, I do think Ricochet is going to win the title here. I fully expect that. And I'll even throw on top of that, kind of bleeding into our next match prediction, which is the tag title match between Moustache Mountain and the Undisputed Era, Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. I think Moustache Mountain's going to win and get the titles back. And I think that all three of those members, plus Bobby Fish, in the entirety of the Undisputed Era, is going to get called up either on or the night after Survivor Series this year.
Okay, so you see their call up being only a few months away.
I think that they're going to have their last match in NXT is going to be that War Games match, and they're going to tear the freaking house down. You're going to tear the roof off the place, any other tearing that they might need to do in that match. And then either the following night on Survivor Series or 2 nights later on Monday Night Raw, Undisputed Era's music hits and we get their debut on the main roster.
Man, brother, I want to believe it. I want to believe, because that's a beautiful freaking picture. And the moment Undisputed Era come up, I mean, I was hearing rumblings. I mean, not so much anymore, but I was hearing for a brief time that WWE wanted a modern NWO. It's staring you right in the face. You don't even have to find like parts to put something together. The parts are all there. It's already there in Undisputed Era.
Yeah.
That said, you know, so just to recap, you're going EC3, I'm going Dream. We're both going Ricochet, and you're actually going all in with like Moustache Mountain reclaiming the tag titles. Again, I do differ from you here. I do think O'Reilly and Strong are going to retain. I think they're going to find a way to win. I think Cole may even have a heavy hand in it because he doesn't want Undisputed Era to lose all their power in one night. He's going to be pissed about losing the North American Championship. He's going to make sure that his boys don't suffer the same fate.
But dude, you've also got to remember Pete Dunne's going to be in the building. He has a match prior to the pay-per-view, and it's going to be taped. So Pete Dunne might be the equalizer there.
He might, but I don't know. Even factoring that in with all that chaos, Undisputed Era can thrive in chaos at times. So I'm still going to go with O'Reilly and Strong. Speaking about the match, though, because I did want to just say something very quickly about that. I am stoked as hell for this. I think these two teams should be very proud of the story that they've put together. I get a bit annoyed with certain prominent commentators that are like, oh, the story doesn't really make much sense to me. Why wouldn't you do this thing? Like, you know, why wouldn't Tyler Bate break up the submissions? We learned a long while back, too, when we were doing this. You know, they only have a one breakup rule. You break up something again, you get disqualified. And, you know, Bate and Transcendent, like, they're honorable competitors. They're baby faces. So if he would have thrown it out and gotten DQ'd, that would have been a heelish action. That would have muddied the waters more than what they did do. And I got to be honest, like, one thing that I've been thinking about, and I haven't been able to let it go. I doubt it's going to happen, but, you know, this is always the place where we get even our most, like, insane thoughts out there. I don't know if Trent Seven's really put behind him what Tyler Bate did, because he seemed really disgruntled with him about throwing in the towel. I'm not saying we're going to get a heel turn here, but I think what I'm really looking forward to in this match is, one, I do again see Undisputed Era retaining, and two, if they do retain, and there's even more friction because you had your rematch, you didn't get the job done, what's that going to mean for the relationship between Trent Seven and Tyler Bate? Because on one end, I'm like, no, they wouldn't break these guys up. They're with NXT UK, and NXT UK wants a tag division. This is a strong tag team. But on the other hand, I just can't get out of my head, you know, Trent Seven just muttering, you know, why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? And almost saying, like, really frustrated with Bate. And then Bate having to come out and being like, oh, you know, we squashed it. And Seven assuring him, oh, we're good. I don't know. My heel meter's going off a little bit. Then again, it has in the past unsuccessfully. So I'm really looking to see if Moustache Mountain's going to crumble at the seams here. If I'm right. I mean, if they become tag champions, obviously nothing's going to happen. But if they lose, I really am curious about the future of this team because I don't have the most optimistic vision for it. So I am going Undisputed Era to retain. Should be a just freaking amazing match to round out a beautiful trilogy. And yeah, just enjoy it while you can, folks. I think tag matches like this, I think they're starting to slowly become more common. But, you know, we still got, I think, a bit of rehabilitation to do in the tag division. But Moustache Mountain have done a wonderful job here in Undisputed Era. Like I said, best faction in the game today. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, Undisputed Era are absolutely killing it. They're awesome. So, yeah, we have some differing opinions on two of the first three matches. I'm not so sure how we're going to feel about the last two. So what we're basically going to do is we're going to talk about Shayna and Kairi first. But then before we talk about Ciampa Gargano, we're going to talk about this Aleister Black situation. We're going to talk about who we think did it. I have a theory that is going to blow everyone's minds, and I hope that you guys stick around for that because it is not something you've heard from anyone else. I guarantee it. Everyone's already talking about, is it Ciampa? There are people talking about it could be Gargano. I've heard people say it might be Candice. Lars, Cassiusona, all the names are getting thrown out there except for the one that I'm thinking of. And I'm telling you, and no, it's not Matt Riddle because I know people have talked about it might be Matt Riddle already as well. Everybody that you've heard somebody else suggest it might be, that's not who I think it is. So stick around to find out because I'm telling you, nobody is talking about this. So anyway, I guess we can move on now. We do both have, we have different opinions on the tag title match. You think Undisputed Era retain. I'm going to pick Moustache Mountain to win the titles back. And now we can get into our fourth match of the night. Shayna Baszler defending the NXT Women's Championship against Kairi Sane.
Yeah, dude. I want to go first on this because
Yeah, dude, it's your turn to go first. We kind of hop in.
Yeah, like because I've really on the podcast been strongly advocating for this match. I have the utmost confidence that this third match between Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane will be their best match because I think Shayna has grown considerably from the Mae Young Classic. I feel like she is one of those competitors that just gets a little bit better each week. And Kairi, I've said it over and over, and I'm not going to lie to you guys. Kairi is one of those call-ups that when it happens, I'm going to be petrified because the main roster has already shown me with the glimpses, like with her being in the Women's Royal Rumble and then the Women's WrestleMania Battle Royal, that they just do not know what the fuck to do with her, and they've like screwed her over, multiple times. NXT, she was good, but we were like, when are those big moments going to come for her and this and that? And I loved what she did with Aaliyah on the Go Home show. I think she needed that intensity. I think a lot of people were almost kind of sleeping on Kairi Sane in the sense of like, oh, Shayna's just going to steamroll her and we can focus on the bigger contender. I've heard a lot of people, including myself, talking about, Candice LeRae and the Mae Young Classic 2 winner. And it's like, that really sucks for Kairi because I wanted her to have her big moment. And I think she got some of the light back on her. And I'm very happy about that. Shayna, I can't say enough good things. I do want to make a quick plug. If you guys haven't seen the thread that Catch Wrestling compiled of Shayna and relating how so much of her offense is inspired by old school wrestlers. So she's kind of like synthesizing modern and old school in just the most brilliant way. Check it out. It's a great thread. Even Shayna herself acknowledged it was like the best gift ever because it was on her birthday. So I love both for very different reasons. I think Shayna's a great heel. She's a legitimate heel. And Kairi, everybody's behind her. Pure as pure can be. But pure doesn't mean weak. And I really like that with this Kairi story. Like what she did to Aaliyah. It's like, I still have this goodness in me. I still have this fire in me. But I'm not going to be pushed around. And, seeing these two forces collide, I think it's going to be an amazing match. Honestly, I hope it's on the level that a lot of people are like, that just continues the tradition of a strong women's showing at, TakeOver Brooklyn. Because, Sasha and Bayley, they started that. And I feel like all those women have been trying to reach that bar ever since. Will it reach that bar of Sasha Bayley? I'm not going to be ludicrous. I don't think maybe it'll be that good because they did such a powerful story with Sasha Bayley. But I think these two women will do something special in their own right. And now to get to the prediction half of it, I am going to go Shayna Baszler to retain. I think it's going to be an amazing showing from Kairi, maybe even one where she gets a standing ovation. I would love that. But Shayna's going to walk out with the title. So Kairi will walk out with the respect. Shayna will walk out with the championship. And, I won't give my thoughts on like next contenders and stuff like that. We'll do that when the time is right. But yeah, Shayna to retain.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I also am expecting Shayna to retain. I think I could just echo pretty much everything you just said because I do agree that Kairi is going to put on a really good showing. I think she is going to really take it to Shayna, really stand up to the bully and maybe show some kinks in Shayna's armor. But I do expect Shayna to walk out still holding the title because to me, Shayna versus the NYC2 winner is the money match that NXT needs to be building towards.
And I think they are absolutely building towards it. I mean, you figure we're going to have Shayna defend the championship again, not even at the next TakeOver. She's defending the title again at Evolution. And then, that same night, we are having the Mae Young Classic 2 tournament winner. The finals take place, so the winner will be crowned on Evolution. And then you could really begin the build from that point onward, maybe even to the next TakeOver. I don't know. Do you know, Ashton, how much space is between Evolution and the next TakeOver? Because I would like
really, I think it's less than a month because I'm pretty sure it's only like 3-ish weeks.
You know what? Even with 3 weeks, we've seen NXT put together a good enough story, at least for a first bout, because I would hope that Shayna and the Mae Young Classic winner, it wouldn't just be a one-match feud. I would like something a bit more than that personally, even if it is stretched out over time, just like we're seeing with Kairi and Shayna. But yeah, like they I think, do something good enough for a first bout. So yeah, I agree with you, man. Shayna versus the Mae Young Classic 2 winner, which I cannot wait to start covering that tournament with you because sweet buttery Jesus, the field is fucking legit. And I've already heard things coming out of the tournament that just make me smile. And I'm like, I love wrestling. Also some heartbreaking stuff, but we won't get into that here. But yeah, Shayna to retain should be a wonderful bout. And I'm hoping Kairi wins, but objectively, I just don't see it happening.
Hypothesis, Evolution is October 28th. So it is going to be after both Clash of Champions and Hell in a Cell, but before Survivor Series.
Right. Yeah, that timeline matches up to me. That sounds right.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So now we're at the interesting part, because now we do have Aleister Black laid out in a parking lot. Lots of footage has come out. We saw the initial footage of Regal walking out of the arena into, the parking lot and out to see Aleister Black. He passed by Johnny Gargano on his way out of the building. He passed by the Undisputed Era on their way out of the parking lot. We saw Lars Sullivan in the background walking away from the scene of the crime. And then we saw Heavy Machinery taking pictures. Aleister Black laid out, and then we saw a bunch of different angles where we got to see guys like Cesar Bononi, Cassius Ono, Velveteen Dream, Kona Reeves, Fabian Eichner, all kind the Forgotten Sons, even the three guys that we saw it was Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake, and I don't know what name they give to Chad Lyle, but it's the guy that used to be Gunner in TNA. So really, all kinds of different speculations have been going on. The most common theories that I have heard have been Ciampa, which I don't think is true because he tweeted he didn't do it. And if he did it, he would own up to it. And he even admitted that. Gargano, Ono, Sullivan, and Candice LeRae as helping her husband out kind of situation. So, John, those are just the ones that I've heard most often. I want your take. And then I'll give my brief take on the most likely possibilities, and then I'll give my mind-blowing theory that might happen.
Yeah, I mean, as far as my take on so you're pretty much asking me who I think, who done it. And
gotta get closer to the mic.
You're just essentially asking me who done it, my opinion of who done it, right?
Yeah, who do you think are I'll say your top three most likely candidates.
I'm gonna make this very brief because I want you to get to your mind-blowing theory, which I loved. I'm just gonna go with Matt Riddle only because my more general theory was somebody that wasn't even caught on the tape. Because I always feel like people that you show in the tape, it's almost like an exoneration of anything else.
It's a red herring, right?
It's a red herring, exactly. So I'm just going to go Matt Riddle. But more generally, if you want to just fill the vacuum of the other two, I do think it's somebody not on the tape. So we'll see who it ended up being. But now I'm just going to hand the ball over to you and what you think about the whole thing.
So that's all you got is you just think it's somebody not on the tape?
Exactly. Yep, it's all you now.
Okay, so I definitely don't agree with that. So I'm just going to put that out there right now. So I'm glad you said that because that just kind of provides a different, a completely different point of view from what I'm about to say. I think that if my mind-blowing theory doesn't come to fruition, the three most likely candidates to me are Gargano, Ono, and Sullivan. And the big one, I'll actually work backwards on that because Lars Sullivan seems almost like the too obvious of a choice. Because Lars Sullivan is the guy that Black broke his jaw, and that's the last we saw of Lars Sullivan. And then we watched him literally leaving the scene of the crime after Black was laid out. So that seems like the most obvious, but that almost seems too obvious to the point that they wouldn't do it because that, again, like you said, is like a red herring. And then Cassius Ono is the name that I think people are the most convinced of because Cassius Ono has kind of been on a roll lately. He just had the sort of dominant squash match a couple of weeks ago on NXT. He has been complaining about his spot on the card, and he was also kind of tangentially involved in the Gargano Ciampa stuff. He was around when Ciampa destroyed Gargano and put him in the ambulance and stuff. Cassius was around there. So there's and plus, I also think that another thing for supporting this is if you want for Aleister Black to have one more match in NXT before getting called up, Ono is kind of the perfect guy to give him that because there are going to be no stakes. The world title's not going to be on the line or anything like that. So it's not going to be an obvious outcome. And we know those guys can go in the ring because they've had amazing matches with each other before on the indies. So they have experience of going against each other and we know it'll be a great match. So that to me, if you're going to send Aleister Black out on a high note, you can have him beat Cassius Ono, kind of get his redemption. And that makes sense. The third one, and I think if my theory is incorrect, I think the most likely candidate to have done it was Johnny Gargano. And here's why. First of all, the interview Gargano gave, where someone said, oh, you know, what do you think of Aleister Black giving the black mask? He said, yeah, I probably deserved that. And Aleister Black, you get one, you're not going to do it again. So he comes right out and says Black isn't going to do it again. That could have been him already thinking, like, I'm not going to let him do it again because he's not going to even make it to the match. Also, because who benefits the most from this now being a one-on-one match? There are arguments to be made for a lot of different people, but Gargano gets Ciampa one-on-one now for the title, despite having done nothing but lost for the last like month and a half, it feels like. He lost to Ciampa at the pay-per-view. He lost his last title shot against Aleister Black when he was champion. Johnny Gargano has no right to be in this match beyond just him being this like annoying tick that won't go away on Ciampa and Aleister Black's side. But he's in it now, and maybe he wanted Ciampa all to himself. So he took Aleister Black out of the equation because he wanted to take out Tommaso Ciampa. And he also kind of has this martyr mentality where it's like, I'm the one that screwed this up, so now I'm the one that has to fix this. And if Aleister Black is in play, well, then Ciampa can just pin him. And then it's like, I wasn't able to fix the problem that I created. So I need to take Aleister Black out so that I can fix the problem. Like that, I think, is the biggest, most compelling argument for Gargano having been the one to do it. But now I'll get to it, guys. My theory. My big theory is that all of this stuff has been designed by the actual person who is responsible for this to make it look like Johnny Gargano was responsible to make the NXT universe turn on Johnny Gargano. And no, I don't think it was Tommaso Ciampa. I don't think it was actually anyone. I don't think anyone attacked Aleister Black. I think Aleister Black is faking it. I think that Aleister Black is basically pulling a Big Cass. We saw last year or the year before that on the main roster, Big Cass that was looking like he was laid out by somebody in the back. And then once we finally got some camera footage, we saw that it was just him setting it up for himself to look like he was laid out, even though nobody actually did anything. I think that's what happened here. And why do I think that? Because nobody benefits more from Aleister Black being removed from this match than Aleister Black. Why? Aleister Black agrees with me. He sees that Johnny Gargano has been nothing but a thorn in the side of both himself and Ciampa this whole time. He doesn't want to be involved in this Ciampa Gargano bullshit. He wants a one-on-one rematch for the title that he got screwed out of. So Aleister Black is going to take himself out of this match while retaining his rematch clause so that he can then cash the rematch clause in for a one-on-one rematch for the world title down the line somewhere. I don't know when. I don't know if that's going to be at TakeOver War Games or whatever TakeOver happens in January adjacent to the Royal Rumble. But I think that Aleister Black took himself out of the picture so that he could have a one-on-one rematch and get as far away from this Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa drama as he possibly could. And I think that that wouldn't even necessarily be a full-blown heel turn. I think that's right in line with his character because he's always been more of an anti-hero. He even called himself on the indies the anti-hero because it was also kind of a play on him being like the kryptonite to Chris Hero at the time, now Cassius Ohno. So I think if you really pay attention, this fits with his character. He is a smart character. He is an anti-authority character. He is sort of a chaotic neutral. He's not chaotic good. He's not lawful good. He's not any kind of good or evil. And it even says it in his theme song. Some men are evil, some are good. He's better than all those people. So he thinks of himself as being above all of this bullshit Ciampa Gargano drama. He's going to take himself out of this. He still has his rematch clause. And by the way, he's going to be able to use that once he gets back from his actual injury. But, you know, once he gets back from this injury that he's playing up. So that's my theory. I think that Aleister Black took himself out so that he can get a singles match for his rematch. And no, I don't think he could have just asked Regal for a singles match. He's not going to be like, hey, Regal, get me out of this, because Regal has already blatantly said to other people, no, you can't back out of this kind of stuff. And, you know, like different examples. And usually it's the champion that does that too. Usually it's the champion that says, you know, I don't want this to be a triple threat. I can lose the title, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think Aleister Black needs to go full heel for this storyline to work. I think that Aleister Black can basically remain with what his character is, which is a tweener anti-hero. That's all he's ever been, and I think that's all he needs to be in order for this story to make sense. And the biggest reason that I think this works is because everybody can be on the "it was Gargano" train, and he can be denying it up and down. No, it wasn't me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me. And when this finally comes to light, this will kind of give NXT an opportunity to get Gargano back into the good graces of the NXT universe. Because right now, Gargano and the NXT universe have kind of a love-hate relationship. Like, we love Gargano because we know how good of a person he is in general, but we also need him to kind of pay for what he's done and kind of the bad shit that he's been doing lately. So Gargano and the NXT universe, that relationship's a little shaky right now. But if you come out with Aleister Black basically trying to frame Johnny Gargano and trying to make it look like Johnny Gargano is this bad guy, and then having that come out as a lie the whole time, I think it'll make the crowd maybe a little bit more hostile towards Aleister Black, but fully embrace Gargano again. So that's my opinion, John. What do you think?
I mean, we already talked about it like over a game of Rocket League. I loved it. I think it would be amazing if that turned out to be the case, but only time will tell. In the meantime, man, let's get to our big main event discussion.
Tommaso Ciampa defending the NXT Championship against Johnny Gargano in a last man standing match. John, I'm going to go ahead and take the liberties of going first here because you went first for Shayna Kairi. I think Ciampa's retaining. I think, whether it's because Ciampa wins outright or because we get some kind of a draw, I do think Tommaso Ciampa is going to retain here. And I think EC3 is going to be his next challenger, probably at War Games.
Yeah, just to talk about the build first, I mean, the build has been fantastic. Admittedly, I do wish we were getting our triple threat because last man standing, like between these two guys, that does have the feel to me of a takeover before WrestleMania kind of deal. And, it kind of sucks that because of circumstances outside of NXT's control, they had to, they had to go and do this last man standing match. So on that level, I am admittedly disappointed. I'm not going to lie about that. But making do with what they've got, and you've got two of the best performers, really, I would say, in the whole company, that ain't half shabby, So I'm really loving the story between these two. I love that Gargano can be a vulnerable babyface. He can be an imperfect babyface. There's a real humanity to Gargano's arc that really makes me appreciate him. Now, of course, as a fan, I don't want him to be safe. I love Ciampa Daddy. I want to see Gargano just get torn apart, preferably in front of his wife and his father, who just recovered from a heart attack. But that's just me. Me and Ciampa agree on a lot of things. Ciampa, to me, is my favorite heel in the game right now. Him and guys like Marty the Moth and stuff like that, and Killshot recently, and Suzuki in New Japan. I'm telling you, heels have got their swagger up lately. And Ciampa, I will honestly say, I think is leading the pack. I mean, the dude finally has merch, and it's not even the shirt that people have been clamoring for. So not only does he make bank, he's pretty much making bank the way any greedy capitalist would, except what we give you, because he's not giving you what you want. And I just think that's really freaking amazing. What a way to both line your pockets and get merch out there while still being a complete dick.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I love that he talks to the championship. I love that he wished Johnny Gargano a happy birthday. I love that he called himself a god in an interview with WWE.com. And I'm not batting an eye. I'm not going to tell him he's wrong. I don't think any of you are going to tell him he's wrong either. The dude's freaking legit. And he's another dude that tells the truth, except this time I don't find it obnoxious. He told Aleister Black, all I need is one opportunity. And in his first NXT championship match, he wins. He won it. He's amazing. I adore him. And honestly, dude, I want him to retain, and I think he will retain. And here's my reasoning about this. This is going to be my big tangent because I talked very little about the Aleister Black thing because you had more firepower with that than I did. This dude's such a great heel that, any great performer, face or heel, it's that adage, I want to leave things better than when I found them kind of thing. If you want to leave the next generation of NXT talent after this era, because I know you said, I forget what match you said it during, but you said, we are in a very special era with the NXT championship division. and to enjoy it while you can, because it's not going to be here forever. Well,
I think that might have even been our last our takeover Chicago this year preview predictions.
Right. And I agree with you. I agree with you unequivocally. And it's because I agree with you that Ciampa needs to retain. Because this man is such a fucking heat magnet, even though I am getting a bit concerned because he's so bad, he's good. He's coming back around with how talented he is. But I still think he gets enough heat. He can make a few baby faces before he walks out. What I was going to say earlier with Velveteen Dream EC3, if the crowd hadn't turned on Velveteen Dream, dude, I am dying for a Tommaso Ciampa versus Velveteen Dream feud, because Velveteen Dream, he tries to come off. I mean, he showed a bit of a crack with the EC3 feud, but like he tries to act like Teflon, like, oh, everything's just going to bounce off of me, whatever. A character like Ciampa will see right through Velveteen Dream and make him vulnerable. And to me, there's something fascinating about that. Oh, you call yourself the Dream, you say that this is an experience, you know, and then he'll just say what he really thinks. And like, that's a compelling narrative. And then for Dream to fight back and earn a whole different kind of respect, not for who he is, but what he can do between those ropes against a guy like Ciampa. That's a great story. EC3, I don't like the dude, but again, much like Pentagon Dark, if people like the dude, you want to get behind him on some level. EC3 working with Ciampa. So many people will be like, oh, I want him to hit that 1%. I want him to hit that, you know, spinning TKO and just take Ciampa's lights out. That's a great way to go. I'm trying to think of, I mean, hell, Cassius Ohno, if they wanted to keep him a babyface, the most interesting thing he did was step up to challenge Ciampa, in my opinion, because Ciampa brought the freaking best out of him because he was such a heel that Ohno was able to really put the oomph in those strikes and really try and take him out. Like, there are people that you can work with here, and you can build a new generation of strong babyfaces. Ricochet is another one. Ricochet is a freaking another one. Him stepping up and being like, you're everything that's wrong with NXT, and then Ciampa could be like, no, I am NXT. You know, stay in your lane, boy. And then like everybody be like, oh, you know, oh shit. Like, he is that heel. You put him with any babyface that you either want to make or that's coming at Keith Lee, another one. You can make that next generation, but you need to have the story about how they went up against the greatest heel they've ever seen. That needs to happen. So he needs to win, because if Gargano gets the championship, it's not that he'll be lackluster. I like Johnny. I mean, in all seriousness, all the kidding aside, I think he's very talented at what he does. I think he's one of the best baby faces this company has, not named Daniel Bryan or AJ Styles. But it's always better with the heel. You and I have been saying that since day one. And you've got one of the best heels you've ever come across right now. Do not look this gift horse in the mouth. Milk it. Get everything you can out of it so that when he leaves, we have baby faces we give a fuck about, which in turn will make the heels more dastardly when they beat those baby faces we give a fuck about. I mean, to me, it really doesn't get more straightforward than that. So I will say not only that Ciampa will retain, he needs to retain. And I'll be honest, I don't want to rain on Gargano's parade, but if he wins the championship, I will be pissed. I'll be happy for him, but I will be pissed because I'm like, you missed the biggest opportunity you have had in a long time. So I just really had to get that off my chest, because we are seeing something special here in Tommaso Ciampa. Forget this whole era. Ciampa by himself is something special. And I don't know if he's going to be able to do this on the main roster. So enjoy him while you can. And I hope NXT does the same. I really do.
Yeah, man. You and I have said and have been saying for a while, and you really started this, the Gargano fairy tale will actually happen at TakeOver before WrestleMania next year.
Yeah, I really hope so. Really hope so. Yeah.
Because Ciampa keeps talking about, oh, the Gargano fairy tale came to an end, but I think that was just a chapter of it coming to an end. The story still hasn't finished yet, and I think that the story will reach its happy ending on the TakeOver before WrestleMania 35. Or is it 34? No, it's 35, yeah.
Yeah, you and I have talked about it. I think Candice will win the NXT Women's Championship at the TakeOver before Mania, and Johnny will win the world title, and then there'll be the baby faces running NXT. And then personally, I would have Bianca Belair beat Candice, because I think by that point she'll be more than ready for the title. And I don't know who will beat Gargano, but I hope it'll be a heel that we can get excited about. Maybe Marcel Bartel in an ideal world. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm stoked.
All right, man. Well, I suppose that's actually it. We've already discussed all 5 matches. We already discussed Aleister Black's so-called attack, all that stuff. So yeah, man, any final thoughts before we close this thing out? I can't believe it's finished already.
No, I just am really looking forward to this takeover. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think we will get some memorable matches out of the show. Again, admittedly, I'm not like super psyched about EC3 Velveteen Dream, but as I already stated, that's more of a John problem than anything else. I am super psyched, though, for Pete Dunne versus Zach Gibson, which, by the way, didn't we say we were going to do predictions about that as well, since we're not going to be covering that NXT episode?
Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah. I mean, we won't do like a long, drawn-out discussion like we did for everything else, but who do you think's going to win that?
You know what? This is going to be my only biased pick because it's not on the card, and I think I've been very well behaved up until now. I'm going Zach Gibson all the way. Fuck Pete Dunne. So
see, I don't even think that that's overly biased because I actually do agree with you. I think Gibson's going to win, and that's going to free up Pete Dunne to be more of a mainstay and a stalwart on NXT, and rather than just being on NXT UK. Whereas I think Gibson is going to be like the cornerstone that they build around on NXT UK. I think that this is going to free up Pete Dunne to work more NXT shows and maybe even challenge for like the North American title and do stuff like that.
Dude, I just need to say one more thing. I know you said no long drawn out discussion, but if you're right about that, we win if Cole and Ciampa retain because then Dunne can have his pick. I mean, Dunne working with a guy like Ciampa, holy fuck. Yeah. I am so here for that. And then him working with Cole, because we've seen them have skirmishes, I am here for that as well. So a freed up Pete Dunne, because he's done all he can with the United Kingdom Championship. And I love your idea of building NXT UK around Zach Gibson as the heel because, one, that heel logic that we just had a lengthy discussion about with Ciampa, and two, I love Zach Gibson, so I'm biased. But Pete Dunne being freed up, oh my God, the possibilities. Jesus Christ. Now I really want it. Now it's not just I love Zach Gibson. Now it's for the career of Pete Dunne. This needs to happen. So I hope we're right, dude. I really do.
Yeah. All right, guys. I suppose that's all we've got, right, John?
Yeah, that's it. That's all out from me, guys. Thank you so much for joining us and hearing us out. And we'll be doing it again tomorrow, only this time for SummerSlam.
Oh, man, that shit's going to go like an hour and a half, guaranteed. We've got like a dozen matches, and I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a long one. All right, man, you can take us home.
All righty, guys, remember to like the video if you haven't already. I'm surprised James wasn't in here reminding everyone to like the video and threatening to kill himself if you don't and stuff like that. Of course, remember to subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you showed up here because someone told you about this crazy Aleister Black theory that this guy had and you listened to it and you thought it was crazy or unique or different or something you've never heard before, give us a subscription and we'll continue filling your subscription feed with wrestling takes that not everyone else has. That's kind of the appeal of TWitWoW, is that we don't analyze wrestling the same way everyone else does. We're different. We're a different breed. You can ask our fans. So, yeah, guys, remember to subscribe and then click the bell icon so you can get notified whenever we go live, upload a video. Follow us on Twitter, and I'm sure that once you do, John will start tweeting you every time we go live, and I will also be tweeting out every time we go live, so you'll never miss a live show, and then those are actually pretty much the only thing that we really do from this point. So you're definitely not going to miss a show if you follow us on Twitter. And of course, like the Facebook page, buy our merch on Teespring, donate to the Patreon. Of course, it's only $3 a month to get you into our patron Discord server. And it will also accumulate over time and allow you to request live reactions to wrestling shows of your choosing. And that all accumulates with other people's donations to allow us to live react to SmackDown Live and 205 Live every Tuesday of every month. So we will see you guys for our preview predictions for SummerSlam tomorrow night. And we will also see you all for our live reactions to TakeOver Brooklyn, SummerSlam, the post-SummerSlam Raw, and the post-SummerSlam SmackDown and 205 Live tomorrow. Or I'm sorry, not tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then it all starts all over again on Wednesday with our live reaction to Lucha Underground and then the review of that. No NXT review next Tuesday, but this coming Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, it's 5 Fave Fives. I don't even know which one it is. It's probably like 5 or 6, but 5 Fave Fives will continue this coming Thursday. We'll be doing that every 4 months or so because that's about how long it takes for our opinions to change on some guys. So we will see you all on whatever show you decide to show up to. And whatever that happens to be, all you got to do is remember to stay tuned.